What?
Tene tatarin huya te je Gampopa Shardam Lamcho Rinpoche Chingwa te re. Tene Gampopa ke namtar chungze husimba re. Tene Shardam shiba te ta labja rawa chada yore. Lamcho zo de ta lam chirtang ngarang so jibu sum je lam je ramba si yore teni ta teni tso nangke teni ta lam mambo yobo nangke chodo jirba teni te rumbo chikin chingwa nang yin teni rumbo chikin chingwa te tsa chimbo yinba yinda teni lam te teni tsa chimbo tang chodo jirba yinba te sunko yore.
So, picking up with these teachings, which are the instructions of Gampopa, a precious garland of the Supreme Path. So we started off with receiving an overview or just an abbreviated background on the life story of Gampopa, and then with regard to the actual content of the text itself, so the title where it says the instructions, or they're kind of the instructions given, the oral instructions, really. And so these are the trainings, referring to the trainings. And then, as it says, the Supreme Path, so it's the precious garland of the Supreme Path. So of the three types of individuals, or the three levels of individuals, there are three stages of the path. And so this is referring to, or this particular set of teachings belongs to the category which is the most supreme, or the most profound and most supreme path. And so therefore it is like a precious garland, or a mala of precious jewels, a garland of precious jewels. And so it is referred to as a precious garland because it is a supreme among all, or it is the most supreme.
Tani lamcho hibati tun yinda kararisina tani tata kaps papa ni Gampopa kongke tani tusam ke yuntin ke ju nimbo chama tsu du yaba tani nyam topa ke nyamnyong chapchang tsu du yaba tani kanza sunra je ke nda nyam su langba yina yang tani sanje je gompang ruya la techon mi ba tani lam te manor ba yang tak ba tendra yin be jimsin ke tani lam cho hyone goya ge jimsin tere.
And so then the Supreme Path is referring to the same path that was traversed by Gampopa himself through the activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. All of the profound qualities were developed. And so then Gampopa, taking the very essence, the very sort of quintessence, the very sort of essential pith of those all of those aspects and qualities, then he, through his own practice, he arrived at full comprehension with regard to the ultimate meaning, and arrived at a state like completely free from any doubt. So he had complete certainty with regard to the unmistaken path. So this path is the completely pure, unmistaken path. That is the supreme path that leads to the unsurpassed fruition.
Tenita tela jutsin mambo yore jo sama tanda detsin mambo yore tena gata tambo thoma tela tambo pangpars pangbu chu jis timbar jawa so ta pangbu chu de gangda gangri so ne te ma song yore ten de pang hiba de ngarang so ji xing yi dong wa xi 마타바 양 보르송와 양 촐라 진송와 나 마랑 수 셰 팡그와 디동나 노리 팡바르지 추추 지스트림 바손트
So with regard to the categories, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for the Tibetan here. So we have many different categories or classifications within these teachings, different sections. And so the first section are the 10 causes of incompensable losses of human life. So it's actually referring to the 10 kinds of, it's really can just be the 10 kinds of loss. And so, for instance, what's being referred to, and actually the actual word in Tibetan is actually the same word that we translate as abandon. So it could be the 10 types of abandonment. But for instance, when there's something really desirable or really pleasing that one isn't able to get, one isn't able to achieve, and then as a result of that, one feels despondent or one feels disappointed. So this is what this is referring to, is this sort of feeling of loss.
Tinanga tambo de ni parka vmul zangmande mege dikpe lela chu de pang so dene ni parka vmul zangma zujite ta garech ne ni parka warisina mul rimboche sewate jo gewa miba ina jo gewa maduna mulu rinpoche te tobya kale kapore. Ngobu goni mulu rinpoche toba ina yang tamjur chobje tsangwa mulu rinpoche te tobya kale kapoyore. Teni chang goni samno tamba ina yang simji yin da durba ina teni me changka te nyung nyung re. Tani pe gon samna tawa ina yang melu chibate ta perna jamchu nang de tani rubalong wa tang tani hing buga jin shi tang rubalong wa tani ta di hing de jamso ke nang ke da long ke yar hello ne zang kansa kan de je de tene jamso nang ke hing buga jin te dang Rubartini Trepar Capo Yorite, Chang and Tracy Batsanri, De Tawaka Tony, Dene Pe Jurchang, Mo, Gani, some not by in a young, Mulurumbochete, Topkale Capo Yoris. Dene Tenda Mulurumbochete, top Sindu, Dene Tangaran Sokete, Geva Drabiake. Tendala Piju Matang Vachi, Tini Megeva Drabiala, Piju Tang Yavana, Tini Te Hachanga Pampore Songere.
Kongta te dampo te dampo go to cheore. Yaboko masong kongta.
Mulurumboche Topala, Jo Geva Sagoyura, Jewa Hama Sunam Kutso, Geva Mampo Sagoyuri. Te Masana
digging on na.
Digging
takes masong.
Digging Te Man Tutti Ta Jutsi Mambo Yopanangi, Nipar Kavu Mulut Zamande. Megge dikpe le la chu da phang chil te depth mado e
Lato. Da de yo da hokosong pache. So actually, so I think I sort of misunderstood what he was saying in the beginning. So it isn't that he was giving the example of like the loss, but when we're speaking about these different types of losses, but it is essentially like the losses that can come from not properly utilizing this precious human birth. So first, it is necessary to recognize the preciousness of human birth and how extraordinarily difficult it is to achieve a human form, a precious human body. And the way that we can contemplate this is by way of the causes, the examples, and the numbers. And so, first of all, there has to be the cause. So if there's not a tremendous accumulation of merit, then it is impossible to achieve a precious human birth. It is extremely unlikely that one would ever be born as a human being in the first place without having accumulated a great deal of merit. And then, in addition to that, let alone a human birth complete with the 18 leisures and endowments. And so it is extremely rare and difficult to achieve a precious a human birth, and then especially a birth in which the 18 leisures and endowments are complete. So we can think about this with regard to the cause, and then also with regard to the numbers. So for instance, even just thinking about how few human beings there are in comparison to the populations of other types of sentient beings, or the numbers of other types of sentient beings. Comparatively speaking, the numbers of human beings are really relatively very, very few. And then, of course, we can also think about this with regard to the examples. So there's the example that is always given, for instance, of the blind turtle who is swimming at the bottom of the ocean. And on the surface of the ocean is a wooden yoke that is floating, but it is blown about in all the directions by the wind. So sometimes it is blown to the east, and sometimes to the west, and sometimes to the south, and sometimes to the north. And this blind turtle only surfaces once every 100 years. So the likelihood that upon surfacing, this turtle would actually stick, just by chance, would stick its head through the hole of that wooden yoke in the surface. So the yoke and the turtle would perfectly meet like that. The chances are extraordinarily rare, or really their chances are very low that would actually happen. And so it's said that in the same way, the likelihood of achieving a precious human birth, complete with the leisures and endowments, is equally as rare. It's equally as unlikely that one would achieve such an extraordinary opportunity as this precious human birth. And so once this precious human birth is achieved, to not put this life to good use by completely dedicating oneself to the practice of virtue, if one, having achieved a precious human birth, if one wastes one's life without really exerting oneself in wholesome endeavors, and instead, if one engages in non-virtue, then it's an extreme loss. It's a great loss to this very rare and pure human life, to get oneself indulged in wrongdoings or negative deeds, and that's how it's stated here in the text. So this is the first of the 10 great losses, causes or losses of, or sort of downfalls of a human life.
Ha mo ji chira yo mare le la po yo re yin ya ta simnang lo chowa che go yo re chowa kare che go yo re na o ta mler bo che de chang go ni par ka ba re lam du o ta chang go ni kan ra ni par ka ba re do per na ngarang chu jam so na ke nya ka che do de ni sa phong do ta do le do che go lam bo tro ma ka che do ta tela soba ke la tane teni me lu te la chersa na ta andu me la ya de trangka nyong nyong yimba sagang kola ti gang la me trangka ka che yore do chung chung ma ji xiao lam ba tro ma ka che yore jamso tan ra na teni te zamla sagang ke chakhe ji ro jamso te tin na nya ka che yore ta tela soba gangaran so thong thup ke simjing te zola zan ta na mala dur na tangka hajang ka mambo tani ngaran so thong ma thaba ke ta simjing batra tani mamai tanda ke lu mambo yore tani ta nyaba na nyaba simjing ka che yore yada ke simjing ka che yore tunro ka che yore ta tanda san ta ne teni ngaran so ke sen na chowa je go yore chon na chowa ma ji ba ina teni te ngaran so ke driven ro te mi to ku yo ma ro te ende ta tangka la sam na ta ne tanda chi ne ta teni ma lu la ya ding ne thopar ka wa she ri sha ta mulu tsam jek thopar ka wa indu ta tin jo de tamjer ni par ka wa zone chu dum khin je mulu te teni dewe je ka wa rin do sana ra thu go yore te ngaran so ke ton da de ha go yore te ha ko war si bala je ta ha mo ba ke ka le kha bo yo ma re de sim nang do cho je wa de ka le kha bo yore te ndu sem no cho je jo so la sem no cho yo ba to ni sam no ton ba de kar chim bo re teni karsi yang tela kanza chepara yore khaye changka goni te chamke chowa machi bayina teni pe tela samno ta perna jamso chimbo nang na rubal longwa chi yuna make ni ka me jo rubar chi yuna ti rubar te ko teni lo ja nani mato jamso ga gang la ya tongko yo maris rubar te yena ya jamso na da heng ji yore heng de la buga jing ge heng de ni char ni lo la ko lo ne no blak ta ka sa ka la long ke jamso ga lap ka pasin din ko yore is ta lo ja jan cha ni ti rubar de ge ko ya rubar de jamso ga kha la ya tong ba tang ni rubar ge ke te ti heng de ga buga na ya ro ya te sipa cham je lo jarin chane thingmare sam sipa chamje yimba hote ende ta pek ton sam na tamba ina ya o mlu zoji de thoya kale khapo jinde ta ngarang ke mlu zamba je thabda sa ya ke ra thu ba kantar chro a je go ya de karchim ba cha de yori teni
So then it's important that when we contemplate in this way, that we do so in such a way that we really develop a real feeling, that our response to the contemplation is one that's really visceral, where we really feel it. And so, for instance, when we think about the numbers, to really contemplate, think about all of the other forms of life that there are on this earth. So, for instance, just in the ocean, how many ocean creatures are there? How many fish and sea life? Those alone far outnumber the numbers of human beings on this earth. So there's so many creatures in the sea compared to the numbers of human beings. And likewise, even if you just go outside and you look underneath a stone, you'll see many insects there. Just under one stone on the earth, how many ants or insects do you see underneath that single stone? And so that gives you an idea of just how many like ants and insects and there are, and compared to human beings, they far outnumber the numbers of human beings. And so likewise, when we think about all of the animals that we can the animals and insects that we can see or that we can actually see that are visible, there's no question that there are so many more compared to the population of human beings. So let alone, those that we can't see, those that are not visible with the eyes. So for instance, microscopic living creatures and then non-human spirits and other entities or beings that we can't perceive. And then to contemplate each of the realms, so to think about numbers of animals compared to the numbers of human beings, to think about the beings, the hungry ghost beings, the numbers of hungry ghosts, to think about the numbers of hell beings, and so on. But in any case, you should contemplate such a way that you actually really feel this disparity, that you really kind of deeply feel it, and so really have a sense of certainty with regard to how difficult and how rare it really is to be born as a human being, especially with the 18 leisures and endowments. And so the different individuals will respond differently to the different contemplations. So for some people, one type of contemplation might actually be more effective than another type of contemplation. So for some people to really contemplate the numbers, or to contemplate the numbers of different beings compared to the numbers of human beings, is particularly effective in this way, that it causes one to really viscerally feel just how rare it is to be born as a human being. And for others, the examples might be more effective. So to really spend time, for instance, thinking about this example of the blind turtle at the bottom of the ocean, so Khenpo just explained it once more, that there's this blind turtle the bottom of the ocean, and on the surface of the ocean, there's a wooden yoke that is drifting about on the surface of the vast ocean. And sometimes it floats, way out to the north as it is, moved by the waves and the wind. And then at other times it floats way off to the south. And at other times it floats way off to the west and sometimes to the east and so on. And so really only once every 100 years, and this turtle has no eyes, he can't see, he's blind. And he only surfaces once every century, once a century or once every 100 years. And then how unlikely, just how rare it would be if upon surfacing that blind turtle were to stick its neck through the hole in that wooden yoke. What are the chances that they would meet, perfectly and at the same time, that the turtle was in such a way that the turtle would be able to stick its neck through that wooden yoke? Very, very unlikely. And so for some people, these kinds of examples really help to really just get a sense of that feeling of just how rare and precious this occasion of having a human life with leisures and endowments really is. And when that real feeling is generated through these contemplations, then one feels absolutely determined not to let this very rare and precious opportunity go to waste.
Tani ngaranzo chorwa cheken do da mdo so trawa tang ko yore. Perno so lo jo ni hyo sumje la nangbu chu la jangba che ba yin, lomnyer che ba yin, ka chu shu ba yin, cham la de ba yin. Da tana de ba yin na chorwa ka che ji ya perno karsi nga ba troma ji yin na. Chorwa kanda yo sare. Karsi nga dara nyerwa na yo ba semchin je yin na kari chi ke yore. Tanda ka chorwa jinyong do dang mdo. So la samno dang. So la trawa zhe. Tanda ka chorwa jinyong mdo na da chorwa jie go yore ngarang zo ka chorwa sinang la. Per cha ya na jab jing gar chin bo je kong te song so. Kong da bo ina da ga pe go ni dara mulur bo je tobar ka wa te la chorwa hira ji ma song so. Ina zhang ge go ni mulur bo je tobar te la samno dang de kong ten pe chorwa ji so so. Kong na ba na da ten ran ro yong ge yo ro. Da ngarang chong ro ji samno dang ba ina da ji mulur bo je laga tengene thopka le khapo che yimba la chowa tini chinyong de wang chimbo thombo mangbo shue ka chu teng sa bo mangbo shu ba yin ya chowa chinyong de seng ku ting la ngene ta ne ta tenda so sam tong ga yore tenda yin za tara ngarang zo te na shabja lo do na yu zo chan do ma tham je la teni dunta re ta dunta ni re rempe gom ji yor ba ta lo do na yu zo te dupe na churang ngus nyer simjin je yimba gomsi pa dunta chik zal na ngus nyarwa simjin je yimba gomne teni dongha ta chab dongha changbu dongha la so ba ge ta dongha samji ma cha ba ge so ke lu teng da sem ke teng la ta na ming ke yo ba chonang de je jo la ko yo wa teni korang zo ta da wen ta te gom de teni kale o ta nyar simjin tam je la ta dongha zo ji de ne samji ma cha ba yo ba rin do de ran da won chu ne teni ning je de ngang shuk ke je ba ta da yo wa 대면서 지당 냐와는 심지 망보 요리 닝게 람바 잠지 초와 제트고요 말씀 semnanglo chowa ji ma ji ba ina chura sem den jura tang to ko yo mare den la insa da so la trawa ta yare so ngene chowa de ji hen do ya chuchu ni hye tsab ge la chowa de chuchu ni hye tsab ge na chowa de je to ko mi ba ina yang nima re la tun chik jam chowa de ji hen do kam do nima chik jam ma ji ba na dun cha chik na chowa de ling chik jam ji hen do tam do tel sobagata.
The young charsung, chicksung, gongta.
Dunta Nima Chik.
Oh, chesong. Hello? Oh, gongta. Can you match it?
Nima Chik Nana, Tsora Tima Chik, Chik Dues. Nima Chik Nana, Tsora Tima Chik, Chik Mi Bayina. Dunta Chik Nana, Tsora Tima Chik, Chik Dues. So, Jawat Tago Yoris.
So actually, it's really important that we ask ourselves, that we really examine and ask ourselves honestly, how much we really feel this, so feel how much feeling can. Or whether we, at a really visceral level, we understand that we really feel this or not. So we have to honestly ask ourselves, and even if we've practiced for 20 years, if we've studied the Dharma, if we've practiced the Dharma, if we've listened to many teachings and stayed in retreat, but even in a situation like that, is how deeply do we feel this truth of the rarity of encountering a precious human birth? So to contemplate, what if I were an ant? What would my experience be like if I were like an insect or an ant? Or what if I were in the hell realms? Like, to really feel that, and to just understand comparatively how extraordinarily precious one's own situation and opportunity is. And so it's a really beneficial to regularly ask ourselves whether that is really felt at a deep level or not, and again to apply the methods of contemplation that are particularly effective for our own constitution or our own sort of our own composition or our own sort of tendencies. So for instance, even Garchen Rinpoche himself has said that when it comes to the contemplations of the examples, the causes, numbers and examples, he says that, he doesn't have so much feeling arise for him when he contemplates the example, for instance, but when he contemplates the numbers, then this has been really very effective for him, and so he has explained it in this way, and so if in our own situation, having a precious human birth, even if we've received, many empowerments and many teachings, but do we really feel this at a visceral level? Do we really understand the rarity of a precious human birth? In a single day, does the feeling of not just the thought, but the feeling of the rarity of achieving a precious human birth arise once a day? If it doesn't arise in a day, does it arise maybe once a week? And so the way to develop this feeling is through really deep and thorough contemplation. So that means contemplating in such a way that that you really empathize or you really take on the visceral experience of other sentient beings, for instance, sentient beings in the hell realms. So thinking about the suffering of extreme heat and cold that the hell beings endure, just inconceivable pain and suffering, to contemplate that in such a way that you can really identify with it, you can really feel what that experience must be like. And this is, when, for instance, the practice of the 100-day retreat, where one contemplates, different aspects of the contemplations on the 4 thoughts that turn the mind throughout the 4 sessions of the day for 100 days in retreat. With that kind of single-pointed contemplation, then one should be able to get to a place where there is a really visceral understanding of this, that the feeling is deeply understood and deeply felt. And so likewise, when we really contemplate in a deep way the experience of other sentient beings who are not so fortunate, where we understand, where we can really empathize with or deeply understand the suffering experience, the mental experience of suffering, the physical experience of suffering that is endured for these beings, then not only can we develop a deep appreciation for the fortune of achieving a human rebirth, a precious human rebirth, and feel completely inspired to not let such an opportunity go to waste, but we also develop real compassion for those beings who are suffering. And this isn't just like, again, it's not like a superficial compassion where, we can easily say, oh, the beings, suffering from the heat and cold in the hell realm, poor things, so much suffering. But to really deeply feel it, to really have real compassion for their suffering. So whether we have this or not, only we can know for ourselves. So we have to be really very honest with ourselves, and we have to ask ourselves, we have to examine whether we really have a feeling response, whether the feeling has really arisen in us. And again, does it in a single day? Do we have maybe, the feeling arise one time during the period of the day? And if we don't have it arise, at least once during the period of a single day, do we have it arise maybe once throughout the week, during the period of a week? So let's look and really look at our own experience and see, does the feeling arise, or do we have yet to really viscerally understand, to deeply understand based, in a way that involves real feeling?
Teni Gampopa ke ni parkav milut zamande mege dikpe lela chu da pang sungate kong tutsu hiwe yune tiga zamte yaba mariwa. Te kongke togla ti tsorwa de ji nyamlin de nangne teni te yungwarwa. Teni te kongke te tambo tere tambo nge yanjar labza jigirwa ni parkav melu zangmande mege dikpe lela chud pang labdwa. Te tapo rumbo cheke kongke taga zam ti yapa maris. Teni kong la tik semnang la tenda tsorwa de ji nyamnyong de topne teni kongke ta nyamnyong de yubu gangne teni kongke triyong bari. Trine teni ngarang tso la pingri gongne triyong ba indu ta ngarang tso te lokpo kapsa ngarang tso la tik tsorwa de ji go yore tsorwa de jina teni ngarang tso nyamnyong de la mantune yabu yong go yore.
Um, so when Gampopa writes, or when he says, it is a great loss to this very rare and pure human life to indulge oneself in wrongdoings or negative deeds. So when he says that, he isn't just saying it kind of lightly. He's not just saying it in kind of a superficial way, but he really himself, having developed this real feeling for the meaning of that through his own experience and practice, then he writes it to us with the deep wish that this understanding may benefit us as well. And so the intention or the wish there is that we, as the readers or the recipients of these instructions, will take that to heart in such a way that we contemplate this so that also the real deep understanding, or the understanding that comes with real feeling, arises for us as well.
Nipa tingo. Dimbar carve tamjur melu zamande chumi tamar jilusa here pang so. Tati caps ngaranso tarji Georgia. They think yori tarwa je jorba jos. Teni tina gata tambo tarwa je de la teni ngaranso nyarwa yina teni chadang donga yori tondo la kortu donga yori teni latse rembo tang
Kung tato tampo tsarangi dunga teni nipa.
ida la tikong donga yorwa teni da tarate latse rembo tang teni lalo tang kukpa tang te tamche na teni rarang susola teni donga yobare yina ngaran so ta tara mulu tapchadu teke ta ngaran so tara nyarv simji marwa teni lalo layate sanje chula ta tepa meba tepa lokpa ji teya marya teni latse rembo yina koran so nekap ke teni doyon la yen tena rite ngaran so mari teni hla zajite ta mara tara kukpa ndawo yina teni pa hi mi hi tsar ni mi hi ba o tena ke donga yori ta ngaran so te tsama ni tsar do ondu teni tara ngaran so muluramba che zajite la tarwa je tarwa la ya te ngaran so chu driba la kokab yo ba te la tarwa la ko yori
So. So the second, then the second of the causes of great loss to this human life, or great sort of waste of this human life or lost, is it is a great loss to die by engaging in this rare, pure, transient, and perishable human life in irreligious and material activities. I'm kind of interested as to what it says in the Tibetan, but so in any case, this is also then touching upon the 18 leisures and endowments. So there are the 8 leisures and the 10 endowments. And so the 8 leisures are to be born without, free, the freedom of not being born, or the leisure of not being born in the hell realm, so not suffering from the extreme suffering of heat and cold in the hell realm. And also then secondly, to be free from the suffering of beings, the type of suffering experienced by those beings who are born in the hungry ghost realms, such as the suffering of extreme thirst and hunger. And then third, to have the leisure or freedom of not being born in the animal realm, so afflicted by mental darkness and stupidity, and likewise also then to have the freedom of not being born as a barbarian. So in other words, as one who has no orientation with regard to virtue and non-virtue, who to be born as somebody who has no concept really, or is incapable of really conceiving of or understanding the difference between wholesome and unwholesome, or virtue and non-virtue. And then also to be born, being born as a human being, or having a precious human birth, is one that is free, or has the leisure of not being born as one of the long life gods, who waste, who are too distracted by the enjoyments of the sense pleasures, and then finally experience the suffering of change and falling to lower rebirth. And then also to have the leisure of being born in as a human being who is not hindered by wrong views, so to be without wrong views, and then also to be free from being born in a time, or not having been born in a time where no Buddhas have appeared, or no enlightened beings have appeared. And also to be free of being born without one's faculties complete, as somebody who with like mental disability.
Tani ta njorba cho lamdu rangun changwa ke nga yor tel ramjor nga yin won changwa tela nga yor tel yimjor nga se de domdu njorba cho sungko yore ta tinange tambo ngaranso ramjor nga hiba de ranguni tambo mayimba ne mayimba chamji yang tara ngaranso sanji ke chu la nyamni chia ta chu la tusam chia ke karba dimbe ngiba yo mare tendu yor la rale de yor te tambe chu tarsa tambe chu nyamni naya ke kokab yosa te ta vela kewa lama te la u yor bu la ko yore u la ya zo ndaw ta tambe chu drsa la na drba karba din se yor te la yor bu Tani soso me yin dambu chu drupa karwa yu sala jewa langba yin yang tani soso wangbo ma changba nawa wangba meg longba la soba ke tani pas gobda manchu ba la soba tanda ke chung yu ba ina yang dambu chu de la tusam jia la tani karwa de medin ba indu tani soso la wangbo changwa amcho ke dambu chu tuba tani la soba ke karwa yu ba 다 소소라 디 착진 솜데 요레 마임바 요르부스 지바 왕보 창바 던다 임바 있는 양 데니 소소 레근타 안다고 제 로네 레근타 로 시바데 제와 나마 던다라 제 몰라 로바 타비야 발라티네 양 자조글로 제 레줌델 이치미 바 데니 담비출라 던다케 자조글로 마임 던다 종종아 마임바 lemta malo that Then the Yabatri, then about the nail days, then so sort of depa yoba. Then near the carriagesina, then sozoke, then Lama Giviki la depa yoba, Tampechula Gava yoba, then Yamli la Zundru Tang Troa yoba. Oh, they tabaji, they rang in the tango checking out their retained, they tarangaran solo, they checking out the
Kung the damchu la gawa dang
Tampechula Yamli.
damchu la gawa dang yamlin la.
Nyamli na ya la troa yo ba troa zunggang ge la troa o zo troa yo ba o ta te ta chakjing a de rang ngun chang yo res
So then, with regard to the 10 endowments, so there are those, the five, which are dependent upon one's own circumstance, or dependent upon oneself, and then the five which are like dependent on outer circumstances. And so first, with regard to the five dependent upon oneself, so the first is to be born as a human, to be a human, or having being a human being. Then one has like taken birth during a time where the Buddha's, or one is born as a human being, and also one is able to engage in the activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. So as a human being, tampo de karere, tampo de jowa nga nangla, tampo karere,
tambo mayimba
Miyemba. So the first is that we are born as a human being, but even though we are born as a human being, if that doesn't necessarily mean that we have the fortune of meeting with the Buddha's teachings and actually being able to engage in the activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. So there are all these other factors that are necessary together with the condition of being born as a human being. And then secondly, being born as a human being, one is taken birth in a central land. And so the central land here is referring to one in which there is the opportunity to meet with a place where the Dharma has taken root, a land in which the Dharma exists, so that one has the opportunity to enter the Dharma and to engage in these activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. And third, then all of one's faculties are complete. So there's no defect with regard to one's faculties. Because even if one has these other two conditions, if, for instance, one has some sort of impairment of the faculties, then this would pose a great obstacle to one's activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. So, for instance, with the ability to hear, we're not deaf, but we have the ability to actually hear with the faculty of hearing. And so, therefore, we can hear the teachings of the Buddha. We can receive the Dharma teachings. We can listen to them and take them in with the faculty of hearing. So all of our faculties are not impaired, and so therefore there is the full potential to engage in the activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. And then fourth is that we don't have the stain, or not having the stain of extreme like karmic misfortune, and that for instance, for those who, like, if, say, in a former life, were one to make, really sort of perverse or perverted aspiration prayers, really negative aspiration prayers, for instance, and this would become a great obstacle to being capable of receiving and practicing the Buddha's teachings, or the Dharma, or having engaged in really extremely heavy negative karmic activities, such as the 5 acts of immediate consequence, then this would become something that in this life would prevent one from really having all of the leisures and endowments complete. And so not having that karmic stain is one of the 10 endowments. And then fifth, being one who has the capability to develop or to give rise to a mind of real faith. And confidence, to have a faith in one's spiritual teachers, to really enjoy, to be one who can enjoy or delight in the Buddha Dharma, and to take delight, to really take delight or enjoy, be capable of enjoying or delighting in Dharma practice. So these are the 5 of the 10 endowments that are dependent upon oneself.
Tene da yin on changwa de la yimjor ngas. The yin on changwa shibade sanje jumba. Tene sanje june take chungor korwa. Tene chungor korne tige sanje ke timba de yurin de neba. Tene soso na di sanje ke timbe de jisun jok de tene nyamli nawa. Tenda ke de yimjor ngas. Ta ngarang tara ramjor nga.
Kongtate jire kongtate sanje jung chu sung de chu de ne tene jesu juken yore
de jisun jok tene ngarang so yin la tsewa gora tsewa de ningje. Jamba de ningje. Te ta ta ngarang so la tara chapsang din yore ramjor nga yore yimjor nga yore. Tene makampe jele tar yore ta tende ta tarangaran sola chudba ke chakjin posom soba dimba ke kabri tende ta teke kapsta ngaran so lodo nam jinang ne tamjerni parkawa shibat tinke yore tene ta trent na samya tene nani mantene hyoge
that's so. So then in the 10, with regard to the 10 endowments, the 5 that are dependent upon outer circumstance are that one, a Buddha has in fact appeared. The Buddha has appeared. We have been born in a time in which a Buddha has appeared. 2, that the Buddha has spoken the Dharma or has turned the wheel of Dharma. 3rd, that Dharma still remains, that it has remained for a long time. It continues to remain. And 4th, that there are those who enter the path. There are those who have entered the path and who traverse the path or who follow the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma. And then 5th, that there are those who have real kindness and compassion, who have love and compassion, or those who out of love and compassion can guide us on the path. And so those are the 5 conditions or endowments that are the external endowments, or the outer conditions that are dependent upon external conditions. So then this covers the brief explanation of the 18 leisures and endowments. So the 8 leisures are essentially freedom from the 8 inopportune states. And then the 10 endowments, which include the endowments that are dependent upon one's own situation or one's own circumstances, and then those 5 endowments that are dependent upon external conditions. And so these are contemplated when we contemplate the preciousness of a precious human birth, when contemplating or meditating on the four thoughts that turn the mind. And this helps one to really develop a deep sense, a deep feeling with regard to an understanding of just how difficult and rare it is to achieve a precious human birth. And so we can end with today's teachings here, and we can pick up then the day after tomorrow, continuing on with the text.
Bama Zimje Damje Deda and Danger Jengro Tamje Dada Donar Chancho Zamba Ganda Zojo Ba Deda Gunje Mola Ba Jo Chancho Zimjo Rambo Je Maje Bana Jijer Jiba Nyamba Meba Ye Gona Gona Beba Jo. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.